Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Talk. We hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend. It's very good to be back with everyone. To get us started this morning, I'm going to turn it over to Margaret Henry with an update. Margaret.
Good morning, everybody. We have a new problem with recycling. People are putting gloves and masks in recycling. If you know of anybody that's doing that, please ask them not to. We're also talking to the Human Resources and to different departments to help us. But if you know somebody that's putting things in the recycling that doesn't belong, gently remind them not to. Thank you.
Okay, Margaret, thank you for that update. We're now going to go to the daily COVID update, and we'll go directly to the screens.
Okay, in the state of Florida over the weekend, it was a 3-day weekend, so the numbers are reflecting a little more activity than what we might normally see. There's 648,000 cases since the start of COVID. It went up a little over 10,000 over the 3-day period, and so that's about 3,000 plus per day. So that continues to be a pretty encouraging number. It continues to drop down or to stabilize. Remember, at the peak of the phase 2 rollout, we were doing about 17,000 new cases a day. So this is significantly improved. If we come over and take a look at the two charts on the right-hand side, you see the yellow chart up above. That's the number of cases over the last 30 days by day. We can see a gradual decline and a point of stabilization. The trailing indicators, which is what we really track because that's what's telling the story of this virus, is the white chart, and those are resident deaths by date of death. And you can see it is dramatically improved, and here in the state of Florida, and particularly Pinellas County, it looks like we're getting a handle on that. If we go over to Florida testing, the next chart, on the left-hand side is what happened in Pinellas County yesterday. About 2,861 tests, with 101 of those being positive. That's a 3.53%, well below seasonal flu average, well below the 5% benchmark set by CDC. If we look over on the right-hand side and just do a quick comparison, these are the numbers that go all the way back to the beginning of COVID, and we're running at 10.18. That average is declining slowly. We've seen that drop over the last 30 days from 14, 15 range down to 10. So eventually, as the number of people who are tested negative begin to overwhelm the number of people who are positive or infected, that's how we eventually will defeat COVID and move forward. This is always the last chart I leave you with. I do it because it's a pretty simple graphic display of what's going on, and everything that should be going down is going down. Nothing is that shouldn't be going up is going up, and so those are positive signs. The one thing that is a little different, and this is typical, look at that first chart over on the upper left-hand side in the brown. Those are the number of emergency room visits with flu-like symptoms. And so what happened over the course of the last week, it sort of picked up a bit. Very typical for this time of the year as we start to transition from summer to fall, and we see an uptick in influenza. But notice that it did not translate to the COVID-like presentations at hospital. That's in the purple down below.
Thing that did change over the weekend or over last week, and I just wanted to go over it once again, and that's that the governor has opened up skilled nursing centers across the state of Florida. These reopenings were to take place immediately. However, the governor did allow operators the time to come up with a plan that must be submitted to the state and reviewed by CDC. and the ACA, which is the Agency for Healthcare Administration. We have put our plan together. We submitted it last Friday. The governor has committed to get a rapid turnaround, which would mean this month. But we anticipate having something back later this week. There essentially are going to be 3 types of visit. There's a compassionate visit. Now, here at Regency Oaks, we have always allowed a compassionate visit. A compassionate visit is end of life. You maybe have a spouse over in the skilled nursing center who is actively dying. We had always allowed someone a compassionate visit to go and be with a loved one who was passing away. The second type is emotional support visit, and emotional support visits are going to be limited to 2 people. So it could be perhaps a spouse and a daughter. It does not have to have a connection, a familiar connection. It can be anyone that you designate. This is going to allow for in-person, in-room, skin-to-skin contact. And there are some restrictions in terms of the number of total people who can be in the community at any given time, the number of residents that you are allowing to have visit on any particular day. So residents are limited to 2 visitors, no more than 1 at a time. So there are some restrictions, but basically it's opening it up and allowing a broader visitation. Governor DeSantis, and this is a quote, acknowledged that the move will increase the number of COVID-19 cases in long-term care facilities, but said the need for visitation, which has been banned for the most part since March 15th, could no longer be ignored. And I thought it was really interesting how the governor came to make this decision. He had appointed a task force, and there was not a single industry insider or operator on his task force. It consisted entirely of residents and their family members who had loved ones in skilled nursing communities. And so from that perspective, because they felt like so much was missing in their ability to see a loved one, they took a very aggressive stance in terms of reopening communities back to families. And so Florida is the first and only state in the union to come up with this aggressive a program, and all eyes will be watching here in Florida. So we've recognized that the exposure risk is greater. We are going to see an increase in our COVID cases, but the governor has decided that it's so important that we be able to make those emotional connections and support the individuals in skilled nursing that he has moved forward. The next thing that I want to talk about is a new service here at Regency Oaks, and many of you probably are not aware of it. It's called the Chef's Table. How many of you have heard of that? Just a couple, okay. And so this is a great idea. Have you ever seen in a restaurant there was a chef's table right back in the back of the kitchen, right in the heat of the action, and people are flying by left and right, food is going in and out, and it's a quiet, intimate dining opportunity. And so Regency Oaks has prepared a chef's table. And I don't know how many of you have ever had the opportunity to go up and see the offices in the north building behind the kitchen, but they were pretty disgusting. Right? They were old, and I think they had 30-year-old carpet, and there was nothing spectacular about it. We've taken that space. We've renovated it, and we've come up with this exciting new concept that is going to be available to residents. And we've had 5 or 6 trial runs, and the feedback that we've gotten has been pretty positive. We thought this was such a great idea that we opened it up to our marketing guests as well, because what a great opportunity to put your best foot forward and showcase our dining services. And so the company was running a contest on what's called Extraordinary Impressions. And you've heard a little bit about that program, and I'll be telling you more as we start to get back into the swing of normal operations and LCS gets involved and engaged in the community again. But we submitted this short video, it's actually a PowerPoint, to Extraordinary Impressions, and the team won first place. So great representation of Regency Oaks, and they will be delivering at noon today 290 gourmet cupcakes for the entire team here at Regency Oaks for having won this contest. So I'm going to play this for you real quickly, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so short and sweet. It was. It could only be a minute and a half. So that was our submission. And how many of you recognize that as Ricky and Phil's office? Pretty big transformation. So that is a new service that's going to be available to residents. You can book it by reservation. There's a fee attached to it. I'm not quite sure what that fee is. But if it looks like something you might be interested in, it can accommodate 4 people. And so that's available for service.
Who did you submit that to?
So this went to our corporate team, Andrea Patel and EA, who is EA Fettner, who is the director of Extraordinary Impressions. And the judges, I understand, were Jill Sorensen, Mary Mackey, and Sherry Robinson. And it was all submitted anonymously. They removed any of you couldn't brand it with your logo. But I think if they saw it, they probably recognized some people in it. So, all right. Next is last chart. And that's the Florida Department of Transportation. That's the Word document. So last Monday, I had an opportunity to attend a public hearing. And I don't know if you had heard, but they are planning some major road improvements to Pinellas County. And specifically, this is going to start up from about 49th Street in down south of Almerton. It's going to go all the way up to 580 north of Regency Oaks. And so it is going to impact Sunset Boulevard, the major artery that feeds Regency Oaks. Right now they are doing an impact study, and they had invited local businesses to attend this hearing and provide feedback in terms of what was important to us and how we were how this is going to impact our traffic flows. And so we are still several months from actually starting the construction. The feasibility study is not scheduled to close until May of 2021, so next May. But essentially this is going to impact frontage roads. It's not going to change the overpass at Sunset, but it is going to impact both service roads on the north and the southbound service roads. It's going to address pedestrian walkways. There's a tie-in to the Pinellas Trail. There's going to be restrictions on the left and right turn lanes.
and then there are going to be traffic light improvements as well. So starting in the spring or early summer of next year, we can anticipate some additional traffic. We were there to represent our community and talk about making sure that McMullen Booth was going to be accessible at all times if sunset at US 19 was going to be impacted in any way.
Wanted to share with you this morning, and that's we have developed a compliance and ethics plan. This is the first time Regency Oaks has done this. It ensures that we are maintaining the high standards of quality of care and that we are acting in an ethical and professional manner. It's designed to prevent fraud, waste, or abuse. It is mostly, when you think of ethics and compliance, it's mostly related to financial compliance and ethical treatment of others, and that we have not developed policies and procedures that would be inconsistent with our mission statement, and it makes it forces compliance with healthcare laws, rules, and regulations. It's also mandated by CMS, the Center for Medicare Studies, which is the primary reimbursement mechanism for all healthcare related products across campus. We have appointed a compliance officer, and it's Jesse Rosalie. We felt like this was a new young department head that was a great contributor. He is fresh to come in and lead the effort to look at our compliance and to ensure that our policies and procedures are in line with our mission statement. We've set up an anonymous reporting mechanism. It's a 1-800 number. I won't give it to you now, but I'll include it in the Tuesday talk so that anybody, whether you're a staff member, a visitor, a resident, a family member, if you see an unethical treatment of others or you are aware of a practice that would not support our mission and philosophy, you have an opportunity to report it anonymously. And we also wrote a non-retaliation policy to support that. Right now, we are in the process of providing the training and education to our staff to get them up to speed in terms of what the expectations are and how the process is going to work, and setting up investigation teams to handle any potential complaints. So I want to share that with you. And one last thing, next week we will have a guest speaker for 10 or 15 minutes. Dr. Scanton is going to be here to talk about brain fitness. He has been here lots of times in the past. We've had a number of residents who have gone through his program. This is one of my favorite programs that Regency Oaks is affiliated with. He works with short-term memory loss and the normal memory loss associated with aging. He has been able to show productive results. Talk to a couple of the residents that you may know who have gone through the program. I get nothing but positive feedback for this program. So he's going to be coming out to talk about that program and getting ready to launch another class. There's no charge for residents. All of this is billable to Medicaid, Medicare, and so look for Dr. Scanton to join us next week. So I'm going to open it up for questions. And we're a few minutes over, but I'm going to open it to questions.
I got questions. You said that just the skilled nursing, that's not in assisted living or independent?
So great question. I had said that it was open to skilled nursing, and the question is it open to assisted living and to independent living? And the answer is it is also open for assisted living. The independent living access rules have not changed. I can share with you that we have made application to release some of the restrictions on the IL setting, but it is a different process with a different approval process. And so we hope to have some information by Friday of this week in terms of what we plan for independent living and our next steps.
One other question. Give us an update on the UV machine.
So the question is, give us an update on the UV machine. We have been using that now for several weeks very successfully. Our primary purpose is unit turns, and what I mean by that is someone in skilled nursing or assisted living moves out and we have someone coming in the next day. It allows us to go in and completely sanitize the room with 100% effectiveness. It's an incredible tool. We have used it in one occasion over in the IL, and it's one of the new technologies that really looks promising.
Is it used daily?
Almost every day, yeah.
Do you do IL when before new people move in?
So the strategy on this and what the experts are teaching us, we had to go through certification and get appropriately trained on how to use this. It's just like you have to be symptomatic before you can go and get tested for COVID. The same thing happens with this machine. There's not much point in deploying it if we don't have suspicion to think that there is a virus present. And so we could use it, but that's not our standard practice. Our standard practice is if you are symptomatic or if you have a spouse member that has gone out to the hospital and come back and you think there is a higher risk of having had an exposure, that's a perfect opportunity to call us and we'll come in and completely sanitize the apartment. And we can do it, 2-bedroom apartment, we can do it in about 40 minutes, 1-bedroom apartment in about 30.
I have another question. The garbage carts that go from our service area out to the back, we keep on turning in work orders because one will go out of whack and it sounds like fingernails on the blackboard waking you up at 7:30. But they'll fix one and then another one goes. Right now we have a really, really bad one.
So the question concerns the large garbage tubs and that they are old and cracking and falling apart and they make a lot of noise, and what are we doing about that? And so we absolutely are aware of that. We do have some capital dollars that we've designated for that. We've put a capital request in. Those things are expensive. Anyone want to guess what one of those things runs? Almost $3,000. That's crazy, but we are aware of the fact that they need to be replaced, and we've got some capital dollars that we've requested. So hopefully you'll see a response on that. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. Oh, one more. I almost missed you.
You almost got away with it. On Saturday's meeting, wasn't enough to even bring this up, I don't know if it's appropriate or not. The covering over the new grill area, in front of the swimming pool is flat. There has been water standing in huge puddles ever since it was put up there, and it's still standing, and I'm concerned that it's a breeding ground for mosquitoes and who knows what else. Can you tell me what's going on?
Yes. So the question has to do with the new tarp covering over the outdoor cooking area, and it is attached using grommets and nails to the cross support members, but it is a canvas material and it is pooling and allowing water to stand. We're aware of it, and we are in the process of working with the vendor to try to find a solution. Obviously, this is not going to work. A little trial and error. It sounded like a good idea on paper. In practice, it's not working. And so we don't know how we're going to correct it, but we are
discussing that, and we'll have a solution here shortly.
I'd like to know why it's taken so long. I'd like to, an excuse is what it's going to be, of why I'm waiting so long to have, there's a branch hanging over my car, and I put in a job request to have it removed 2 weeks ago, and nothing's been done yet. You just complaining about Spectrum waiting a day, I'm waiting 2 weeks.
So, where is the branch?
They're hanging over the car.
What's your carport number?
Pardon?
What is your parking spot number?
195.
195. I'll see if I can't get that taken care of today for you. Thank you, sir. What else?
One more question.
Yes, ma'am.
We have the sliding doors in the pool, but when we open that sliding door, there's no screen there, so bugs and things could get in there. Is there going to be screen doors?
So great question. It concerns the pool. And when we get to the point where we open the sliding glass doors, it's going to be accessible to bugs, and do we have any plans to screen those doors? And so, no, we have no plans to screen those doors. It's going, the design concept was to make that like an outdoor pool with shade. And so, just as if you live in Florida and you have an outdoor pool that's not enclosed in a lanai, that was the concept. And so in the summer months, we tend to have a lot of bugs, and so it's also very hot. So in the summer months, you won't be seeing those doors open. When we get into the winter months and it's so beautiful in Florida, we also don't have bugs. And so we're really confident that we made the right design decision with that. And so in the bug seasons, the doors are shut. In the seasons where it's cooler and there are no bugs, the doors are open. I got one more here.
Brant, I didn't know if you were aware of this or not, but the lounge furniture that's right beside the outdoor kitchen, that are the lounges, are rusting, and the little tables that go with them.
Yes. So the question is, the outdoor furniture that's exposed is rusting, and am I aware of that? Yes. It is outdoor furniture. It's not covered. It has direct weather exposure. It has a limited life. And so as part of our design process, we recognized that that exposed furniture is not going to be like our wicker furniture that has been in place for 15 years. That it's going to have a much shorter life, and we're going to have to replace it every 3 to 4 years instead of every 20 years. Jesse and his team are wiping that on a regular basis, making sure that the rust spots don't get carried onto the pavement, and that he's staying on top of the rust to keep it at a minimal. But yes, it is outdoor furniture. It is a direct exposure, no cover whatsoever. So therefore, we anticipate having a little higher maintenance issue with that furniture. Great question, thanks.
Over here.
Yeah. What's the update on more people in the time group?
So the question is, what's the update with more people in the dining room? And let me talk a little strategy right now. We're right now able to accommodate up to 25% of the residents. We're only feeding about 40 residents a day in each dining room, so we're well below our capacity. So technically speaking, in the next week to 10 days, the next step is to move it to 50%. But we're not even at 10% of our population. So it's not a capacity issue,
It's we believe it's residents not yet feeling 100% confident in coming back to the dining rooms. So we're working with our teams to educate residents and to help build that confidence level that we're sanitizing between table settings, that we're wearing masks, that we're keeping appropriate social distancing, and that it's absolutely safe to come back to our dining rooms. Today in the dining room, we are releasing 2 additional menu items. So you will recall we started with 2 entrees, we went to 4, today we're going to 6 entrees. The 2 additional entrees in the dining is the rotisserie chicken and the shrimp Louis. So now if you come to the dining room, you have 6 options that you can choose from. And it's our way of trying to encourage you to stop the delivery and come take advantage of eating in our dining rooms. It's perfectly safe. We're confident in our safety measures, and we think you will get a higher quality experience in the dining rooms than you're going to ever get from takeout and delivery. So please come to the dining rooms. All right. Yes, ma'am.
What about the side entrance doors? When are they gonna go open?
So, side entrance doors, I addressed that briefly earlier. That is part of the access issue to the independent living buildings that we have submitted. We're waiting on approval from, and so I'll have more to share hopefully by Friday at the forum. All right, well, thank you very much for coming out. I really appreciate your attendance. I hope you found today's meeting helpful and informative. Have a great day.